Hello everyone, my name is Ashish Singh. I'm the Vice President for Product Development at Fusion Software. With me today, I have Cheryl McKinnon, who is the Principal Analyst for Forrester Research.
Yes.
Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you.
And I'll kick off proceedings by asking Cheryl about some of the shifts that are happening in the enterprise content management landscape. One is the buying patterns have shifted. There's been a lot of traction from cloud. The new technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning are making things very interesting for content management. And also we are seeing this market trend of enterprise content management becoming content services. So from your vantage point as an analyst, how do you synthesize all these shifts?
So the market is indeed in a very interesting transitional moment right now. There are a few disruptive technologies and market forces that are really shaping this next phase of the market that historically we've called ECM, Enterprise Content Management. The key shift is away from these monolithic, heavy footprint architectures that were designed for, the last decade of on-premises deployment. And we're seeing the shift to more modern, more cohesively developed content platforms, much more suitable to cloud or hybrid deployments. So, when we think about this shift, we think about the rise of modern content platforms powered by much more granular content and process services. So what we're seeing in the market is kind of this decomposition of the features and functions that we've expected in ECM, but now delivered more as APIs, services, allowing for much more modular deployments and creation of content and process applications. I think this really matters because as companies continue their journey to becoming more data and digital first, content becomes an important consideration in terms of how we engage our customers, suppliers, partners, and of course our internal knowledge workers and how we provide information and documents to them as well. The shift to cloud is a major factor in revealing the limitations of some of the early generations of ECM suites. So cloud offers flexibility, agility, and easier sharing of content, including with external trusted parties. The reality is, right now though, is we'll be living this mixed mode world of both cloud and on-premises for this foreseeable future. Even Forrester's data shows that the level of purely on-premises deployment is in decline, but there's different cloud models that are coming to the surface that are serving different types of needs. So we're seeing on-premises shift not only to newer multi-tenant software as a service, but also to hybrid and hosted models. Hybrid meaning a mix of content applications on-prem or in cloud, or perhaps using a mix of cloud and on-premises systems to run applications. Hosted meaning that vendors are offering content management technologies in their own data centers, or as private instances working with some of the public cloud providers in the market. The need to recognize another reality, that we live in this multi-repository world, is also compelling organizations to look at newer, more flexible, services-driven platforms. Large regulated industries, especially in banking or insurance, that grow quite often through merger and acquisitions, though it's maybe very unrealistic to expect that there's only going to be one set of content management capabilities from one single vendor. So choices need to be made. Do we migrate? Do we move into these modern content platforms, leave the old systems behind, or work in a hybrid mode? It's often expensive to do migrations, and sometimes it has very low short-term business value. So organizations are also thinking, well, do I use federation or integration services to surface up or harvest content from older repositories into some of these newer applications? This is certainly an area of investment we're seeing from some of the innovative vendors in the market, either through their own organic R&D or through partnerships with some pure play providers.
So what are some of the capabilities that vendors should build out to unlock value from content for the customers?
So I think the first area we're seeing a lot of really interesting investment and build is around AI and intelligent content services. So vendors are both partnering for best of breed with public cloud services as well as specialized vendors, or making their own investments. These next generation OCR, data extraction, optimization of end user experiences. We see public cloud providers actively investing in this area, and more importantly, using training, their algorithms on very large data sets for things like photo recognition or automated tagging, video tagging, or speech for speech-to-text extraction. We also see things like language-to-language translation support of great interest to global businesses to help lower the barrier to participation by employees around the world. Businesses, however, are still looking for cost-effective, more approachable options for things like the fundamental document management use cases, such as categorization of documents at large scale, or identification of sensitive data strings such as personally identifiable information, automated application of security classification codes, retention codes. These are the areas that have historically contributed to poor user adoption of traditional ECM tools. So these new intelligent content services really help us organize content at scale and remove the burden from our information workers. These tools are increasingly appropriate for subject matter experts to help train the systems on a few dozen samples, not necessarily requiring a whole team of specialized data scientists. The other area of investment we see vendors participating in is this whole shift to various cloud models. So that means everything from multi-tenant software as a service for net new, next generation content platforms, but also models of cloud in the middle. So for example, hosting models where the vendor may offer the services, the content platform back to their customers in a private data center. So organizations have the ability to at least get rid of the overhead and the burden of managing their own infrastructure and still use the applications they're comfortable with in that vendor managed service center. We also see vendors investing in hybrid services, so being able to run an application in cloud, but perhaps use on-premises storage for certain categories of documents. So we're really seeing vendors fulfill a whole set of cloud requirements that their customers are asking about. We're also seeing vendors make investments in things like mobile, extending mobile into content applications. There's a lot of new opportunities ahead of us to help rethink some of these processes. We can streamline them, take advantage of the data that mobile devices themselves bring to the table. Don't just repave kind of old workflows, old paths, but rethink the process from an outside-in perspective. Mobile is actually a pretty untapped opportunity for most content management programs. Businesses are often kind of stuck using old, out-of-date on-premises systems, and those are hard to upgrade or modernize, especially if they've been highly customized. So we see that this move to more modern content platforms, by their definition, should have the design and templating and app development tools to help quickly spin up and deliver those meaningful content management applications to help engage remote or field employees, even serve customers via the app. Right now, our data tells us that only about a third of ECM programs have mobile access, but we do see more organizations looking to use more mobile for content upload, access, or even review into the next year.
There's also been a shift in terms of user personas of people who are consuming enterprise content management, from back office workers to knowledge workers to information workers or digital workers. So what capabilities should vendors be building out to be able to cater to this new user base in terms of both applications and platforms?
Serving this new type of user, I think, is a key characteristic of the shift from traditional ECM, serving back office automation, to more modern content platforms and serving, a different set of information workers. So, we still see that this back office automation, paper elimination, optimization continues to be a big area of investment for firms. We know that these new use cases for content management extends now to information worker productivity requirements, better employee engagement, and more collaboration capabilities. So this means the expectations for newer platforms are different. Both the business buyers and those technical roles that are supporting them are looking for some new capabilities. These new capabilities include support for a great user experience, modern user interfaces, support for mobile app delivery, ease of integration to other mission-critical line of business applications. These are all rising in priority. Busy information workers want a single, easily searchable, trusted content system so they can find what they need and make decisions and will respond to queries from their customers or colleagues. This great user experience in itself is not only a bonus for better employee productivity, but can also be perceived as an important security feature. Apps that are corporately provided and have a great user experience are going to be adopted. And users are far less likely to use unsanctioned or consumer-focused tools for information sharing and storage if their corporately provided apps fit the bill. This shift to modern, flexible content platforms also demands the tools and frameworks, design and development tools to quickly create, test, and iterate to meet the needs of these busy information workers. Content and process services are two essential ingredients to so many employee-facing applications, and a rapid application development environment with these two pillars at the core means that enterprises can serve a range of needs with flexibility and agility that older Generation 1 ECM systems have struggled to deliver. This shift to more agile development and delivery methodologies means that content platforms adopted by businesses need to be modular. They need to provide granular services, APIs, to allow designers, developers to create just the right mix of apps for their users.
So what kind of opportunities do you see that organizations will have in their journey while they're implementing enterprise content management, primarily in terms of collaboration and automation?
I think these opportunities continue to evolve for these content-rich applications as we see this shift to modern content platforms. Collaboration is increasingly an important use case. No longer are we using ECM for just back-office automation. The shift to truly digital business means that we now want to engage all of our trusted stakeholders, including our partners, our suppliers, citizens, or customers, in the content co-creation, review, or approval activities. So these cross-team, even cross-enterprise, secure sharing and collaboration use cases continue to drive requirements. And so these firms, as they modernize their content management programs, are looking for some of those secure collaboration capabilities for both internal and even external use cases. Knowledge worker productivity is also a key opportunity and driver for investment in content management technologies. We're looking for better user experience and support for document-centric collaboration capabilities. Multiple users can review, comment, provide their input on content, and have those clear audit trails and version controls so that we know exactly where the information is and we trust that the work has been completed. The automation opportunities also continue to grow. These intelligent content services we've talked about are infused into these content platforms, and we're seeing new areas to take the burden off of our very busy information workers. Things like categorization and classification of documents at very high volumes. This is an area that organizations have wanted to explore for many years, and we're now seeing these modern systems provide smarter services, deep analytics to make this a reality, not just a long-term vision. Automation also includes the ability to take the user out of mundane routine tasks. We're seeing smarter process automation, even robotic process automation to help do things like document recognition, data extraction, and even taking data and kicking off a process or feeding into another key line of business application. This means users can now focus on higher value activities and let these smarter content services do routine processing behind the scenes. So we can free up our knowledge workers from these repetitive tasks. This means opening up time for more strategic collaboration, knowledge exchange, and time for more innovative work, not manual tasks.
So what do you think are the advantages of a platform-based solution as compared to a COTS or a point solution? And in which use cases do you think this advantage becomes even more so?
I think especially in regulated industries, they have requirements that go beyond just the productivity and automation requirements that all businesses demand. So, from a platform perspective, we know that they have additional auditing, security, lifecycle management requirements. These are must-haves. Industries such as banking, insurance, manufacturing, among others, have very clear reporting obligations to external regulators or legal, other investigative requirements that demand search at large scale. So these industries have a strong requirement for automation of these content-rich processes at scale. And I think as we think about a platform approach, we know that we need a modern infrastructure and a modern architecture to deliver some of these applications. These applications might include accounts payable processing, new customer onboarding, loan origination, claims processing. So there's a need to have a consistent process, allowing workflows and process automation to push the content through defined and audited procedures, reporting, analytics, and of course the ability to tag and classify any items that may contain sensitive customer data. This is all essential. Regulated industries also have typically very well-established records and retention policies. That's taking a process view of lifecycle management, metadata extraction and assignment, and of course storing these completed records securely for years. In many cases, these are core capabilities. Content management is adopted at much higher rates in regulated industries, according to Forrester's data. And in fact, we do see that there's an appetite for content management modernization in these sectors a bit higher than the overall numbers. So, for example, we saw that 35% of financial services firms are actually open to newer, modern platforms from alternative vendors and moving away from some of their older, expensive on-premises systems.
So thank you, Cheryl. I thought those insights were fantastic, and thank you for being here.
My sincere pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.